What up everyone, my name's Lucas. In this video, I'm going to do a tier list of my top picks for plugin companies. Strictly for mixing and mastering, we're not going to do instruments in this one. In order to make the list, they need to have some sort of bundle with a bunch of different categories of plugins. So any manufacturers that just have, a single plugin are automatically excluded. I wanted to find the ones that you can get their subscription or get their bundle and be able to mix a song from start to finish. Okay, so our S tier is going to be the best of the best. We have an S niche category that I'm going to use for software companies that don't quite make enough plugins to make it into the S tier, but still ones that you should really consider for specific types of effects. We have an A and a B tier. And I also have a unique category for plugin companies that are making super unique plugins, but their bundles just won't be comprehensive enough to get you through a whole mix and master. I wanted this to be no BS and just straight to the point. Let me know in the comments what you're using, if you disagree with me or agree with me with anything, and if I omitted anything. I know there'll probably be a bit of a war in the comments, but just be nice about it. We're just trying to help people make informed buying decisions here. The first thing I'm going to get out of the way right out of the gate are stock plugins that come included with your DAW, Pro Tools, Ableton, Logic, whatever your flavor is. We're going to put those on A because those are going to be our benchmark. You should be able to mix a whole song start to finish using stock plugins. Okay, FabFilter is S tier straight up. FabFilter's been making the most innovative and user-friendly plugins for a really long time now. They're a staple. You can definitely mix a whole track using FabFilter plugins. They are some of the best that you will ever find, period. Next one, a controversial one, Waves. Waves had some up and downs because of their subscription and all that, but I would say they've been a staple in the industry for a really long time. You can definitely mix and master a whole track with just Waves plugins. They're very reliable. I think that they're honestly S tier to me. So many people swear by them. They have a ton of different plugins. Some are better than others, but for the most part, you can't really go wrong with Waves. Next company, Softube. They make really, really nice plugins. I've been a customer for a while. I'm going to actually put them in A tier. Unfortunately, they really should be in S tier though, but I've just had some reliability issues with some of mine crashing and not recalling. For the most part, I don't really think that's going to be an issue for anyone else, but Softube makes really, really high quality plugins and they're very, very aesthetic as well. So next is Eventide. They've been around for a really long time making some of the best outboard gear and guitar pedals. Their plugins are cool if you're looking for really creative, interesting effects like modulation and doublers and delays and stuff like that. But as far as the way that they stack up in this list overall, I'm actually going to put them in B tier, but definitely keep them in mind if you're looking for super creative like pitch and modulation effects. I just think that there's some other stuff that we're going to go through that might be a little more user friendly. So I'm going to put them in B tier, but it's not super ideal. Next is McDSP plugins. They've been around for forever. They're the real deal. Easy S tier. Super, super solid plugins. One of the best in the game for sure. A little under the radar compared to some of the more famous brands these days. Next is Antares. So I said I'm not going to do pitch correction, so ignoring their pitch correction, they do actually have really good vocal-centric mixing plugins. And I would say relative to the other offerings in this list, I'm going to give them B tier. Next is a company called Kush. I swear by these. I really love them. I'm going to put them in the specialty niche category. So definitely top quality plugins in my experience, just a little bit too limited to do like a complete mix, but definitely check out Kush if you want some cool like multi-effect plugins that add saturation and compression and stuff like that. They're really, really good for coloring up your mixes. Next company is Sonox. They make really, really nice plugins. I'm a huge fan. I'm going to put Sonox in A tier just because I think there's some more comprehensive offerings in this list. All their plugins are meant to replicate Sony consoles and they have kind of a specific vibe. They have some classic ones like the Inflator that have been used on countless records. Next is PSP AudioWare. PSP definitely has some really cool classic plugins, but they're a little under the radar, and I think some of these other bigger companies have more comprehensive offerings, so for those reasons, I'm going to put them in B tier. Next is Clevgrand. They have some really, really creative looking plugins, but don't really fit into any of the categories, so I'm going to put them in unique. Next is IK Multimedia. They make some really, really nice stuff, honestly, hardware and software. I'm a fan. I think for plugins specifically, there's some better options on here, so I'm going to put them on B tier. Next is SSL Native. They make some really, really good plugins. Sometimes they can crash and take up a lot of CPU. I think they're a solid A tier option. Next company is Soundtoys. Soundtoys needs no introduction. They're one of the best plugin companies of all time. Easy, S tier for niche creative plugins for saturation, chorus, echo, all that stuff. They're amazing. They've been standard in the industry for forever. Definitely get Soundtoys. Next is Universal Audio. So I've been a Universal Audio user and customer for a long time. I'm a big fan, but a little salty that their plugins are really expensive. There's a lot of overlap between UA and, say, Plugin Alliance and Waves. They kind of have similar stuff. Whether or not one sounds better than the other is hard to say. I think Universal Audio, I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt and put them in S tier because I know a lot of people swear by them. Really, really good quality plugins. Next is Arturia. So they make more like instrument plugins, but they do have a bunch of effect plugins. I really want to like Arturia. It's kind of tough for me. I think some of their plugins look beautiful. They have crazy sounds and whatnot, but I've just found it to be really crashy, just like bloated software. So I'm not going to rate Arturia very high. If you disagree with me, let me know. I'm going to put them in low B tier. Next is Slate Digital. This is a tricky one for me. I feel like Slate will be a very, very attractive option for a lot of people. For me personally, the tape machines, the virtual mix rack, the virtual bus compressors, they have some amazing top quality plugins, but I don't find all of their plugins to be quite as useful as those ones that I mentioned, but let me know if you disagree. I think they're kind of in between S and A for me, so I'm going to put them high A tier. Next is a plugin company that's a little under the radar, but they're kind of classic, Metric Halo. I think compared to some of the other bundles that you can get, these are probably a bit limited, but I know some of the most successful mixing and mastering engineers use Metric Halo. I think I'm going to put them in high B tier. Next is Valhalla. This is perfect for S niche. They make a few different plugins actually for chorus and reverb and delay and stuff like that. I recommend just getting all of them. They're awesome. They're classic, but I can't put them in S because they don't make nearly enough plugins to do full mixing and mastering. But for your delays, reverbs, and choruses, Valhalla is the way to go. They're beautifully designed plugins and very efficient. Next is iZotope. I broke up iZotope and Native Instruments, even though you can kind of get both through Native Instruments. Native Instruments also owns Plugin Alliance as well. iZotope is easy A tier. I really recommend their plugins. They're well designed. They can be like a little gimmicky, I feel like, but if you're, kind of getting into like mixing and mastering, iZotope plugins are very, very attractive. Next is Plugin Alliance. They're easy S tier for me. Plugin Alliance has such a comprehensive subscription. They have a ton of different plugins, probably too many to be honest, and a lot of them are very, very powerful. So I can't recommend them enough. Very stable plugins as well. So I love Plugin Alliance. Next is OX Sound. So they make Soothe and they go in the unique category. I would say, they take up way too much CPU power and stuff, so you're probably not going to be using too many instances to mix your whole song. They're very unique, and I just wanted to mention them. Next is D16. This company is maybe a little bit more obscure. I think they have some really, really good effects, actually. They're worth checking out. I know they're on Splice. I think compared to the other offerings in this list, though, I'm going to give them B tier. And lastly, we have the Behemoth Native Instruments. Native Instruments, even before buying iZotope and Plugin Alliance, had some great plugins. Obviously, they're more centered around instruments and things like that, but they have some great, great compressors and EQs. Definitely easy A tier for me. They have a bunch of different plugins, saturators, EQs. I think they're really, really good. Native Instruments for me, I've kind of had like a love-hate relationship. The thing is, you can't really deny they're kind of like at the forefront of the industry. They keep their plugins updated. They have like just really good infrastructure, I would say, in general. Not all their plugins are amazing, but I think they're a really, really solid option. Now I'm just going to go through each tier real quick just to recap. So in our S category, we have Plugin Alliance for sure, FabFilter for sure, Waves for sure, McDSP, and then Universal Audio. I stand by those picks. I think all of those are by far the best options if you're looking for very, very comprehensive mixing and mastering plugins. Now, for our S niche tier, these are the ones that are really, really powerful, but they don't have an all-encompassing bundle. So we're talking about Soundtoys, Valhalla, and Kush. These are our creative vibe plugins. Our A tier plugins are going to be super solid, definitely worth checking out, but just not quite as comprehensive as the S tier. So we have Slate Digital, of course, iZotope, Stock Plugins, Softube, Sonox, SSL, and Native Instruments. I think that's a really solid list. Honestly, these are some really, really good ones for sure, but just not quite as epic as the S tier. Next is our B category. These ones are really solid, just a little bit more limited. So we have Metric Halo, Eventide, D16, Antares, PSP, IK Multimedia, and Arturia. And then our last category are the unique plugins that kind of don't really fit into anything, nor are they comprehensive enough. And we for sure have OX Sound and Clevgrand. Let me know in the comments what you think of my list. I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Later.